CJ, thanks for being with us. It's awesome. I was on this Texas train at the beginning of the season. I want to be the conductor of this team now. They have done everything they needed to do in the second half to remain undefeated. What's been the most impressive thing to you so far in 2023 about the Rangers?
Well, there's been a lot, and they really did need to get off to a hot start because they slowed down a little bit heading into the All-Star break. They went 5 straight series without winning one of those, and that was something that had been a strength all year long. They were struggling with runners in scoring position. That has gotten a lot better lately. Still the best in baseball. They were at such a high rate. It was going to be unsustainable, and as things started to level out, we started seeing a couple of more losses that we were not used to seeing for most of the season. But I do think the story of the year, at least when you look at this team big picture, is the length of the lineup. The length of the lineup has been absolutely incredible. The production that they're getting at the bottom from guys like Ezekiel Duran and Leody Taveras has been really good. Travis Jankowski has probably been one of our favorite stories of the year, and I know he's not the biggest name on that roster, but for a guy who was told right before the season started that he was not going to make the team, and then they changed their mind at the last second because Taveras was dealing with an injury, has been incredible because he's been hugely impactful for this club. So I'd say depth of lineup has probably been, and there's a lot of great stories, but maybe the biggest one.
Yeah, Jonah Heim is another guy that's been an impact player that I don't think we talk enough about. What's made him so effective, not only behind the plate, CJ, but also at the plate?
So I think a couple of things for him, but the thing that sticks out the most is the fact that he is the guy coming into the season. You know, last year he got thrust into a role that maybe he wasn't prepared for because it looked like he and Mitch Garver were going to split the playing time. When Garver had gotten hurt, all of a sudden Jonah became the everyday guy. We started to see some fatigue. There were definitely some good signs as far as what was going on with him, both sides of the ball in the first half, but he really kind of fell off a little bit. The amount of games that he had caught, I think, caught up with him, for lack of a better phrase. This year it's different. He comes in understanding he is going to be the guy, and we'll keep an eye on him in the second half, but I think so far the way things have started here after the All-Star break, and of course he was an All-Star this year, I think confidence is high. But what he does, both sides of the plate, first of all, is a switch hitter. You don't feel like you lose much either side, whichever way he is hitting. The power has been there. We saw it in yesterday's ball game. And then the other thing with him is he's such a good pitch framer. Bobby Wilson is the catching coach with the Rangers. He does great work. He had Jose Trevino for years. And of course, Jose went on to win a platinum glove with the New York Yankees last year. He's one of the best in the game when it comes to instructing catchers. Jonah Heim has seen the benefit of that in a big way.
Yeah, switch hitting catcher. You have to love it. Speaking of keeping your eyes on guys, CJ, what's going on with Jon Gray and Adolis Garcia? They both left the game yesterday after being hit by pitches. What can you tell us?
So far, it looks like Jon Gray said he's not going to miss his next start. I was a little bit scared to see that line drive right back up the middle. He's a really important piece to that rotation, and a guy who went on the IL last year with 3 non-pitching arm injuries. He had dealt with an oblique, a couple of other things that were bothering him last year, a blister as well. And so you get a little bit nervous when you see that happen. He had to come out of that game in the 5th inning, but he says he's not going to miss a start. So that's some really good news because the depth of the rotation has been tested. Jake Odorizzi was supposed to be the depth piece before this rotation. He got hurt and out for the season before the year even started. Of course, everybody knows the story of Jacob deGrom, and so they're starting to test that depth a little bit more than they probably want to. Had they lost Jon Gray, that would have been a huge loss. So that's some really good news there. I haven't seen anything yet on Adolis Garcia. He has also been a really important part, of course, over the last couple of seasons for this team, leading in RBIs, and a guy that is up for the big moment. I mean, he's so much fun to watch. It was good to see him in the All-Star game and get that opportunity to maybe get a little bit more national love, but he's been a lot of fun for us in Texas. So I don't know how bad that is just yet. We'll find out tomorrow when the Rangers start that series against the Dodgers.
I feel like the entire starting lineup for the American League was Texas Rangers. It was great to see when they had the graphic up there, so many different Texas Rangers being represented in the Midsummer Classic. Let's talk a little bit about Alex Spees. I know that you had tweeted about him. What a tremendous story. This is a kid that kind of said goodbye to baseball for a little bit, but then really realized how much he missed it when he became a coach. And he had a great debut yesterday. Tell me more about him.
Yeah, he certainly did. Live arm, and we've always heard about the arm for years in that organization with the Rangers, but as you mentioned, some injuries and then stepping away from the game, addressing some mental health stuff. We love seeing the comeback. We love seeing the debut. I think it's also a really great story because it shines the light on how difficult this game can be, how draining it can be mentally, the reality for players and some of the things that they go through even before they ever become big leaguers. Those stresses are real, and he went through all of them, stepped away, and there's something about, not everybody gets that opportunity, right? But if you step away maybe for a little bit for one reason or another. I think there's kind of this, that mental break that you get, come back feeling a lot better. We've seen it with a lot of guys that have gone over to Asia over the years, right? Kind of disappear for a little bit, come back better than they were. I think it kind of is somewhat of a similar story here with Alex Speas, but what a live arm. And he comes in, and it's so interesting. I think you and I may have talked about this last time, but with Bruce Bochy, he had said that he was hoping he could give Alex Speas a soft landing for his debut, but he's the second Ranger reliever to get put in a huge spot. Speas gets Wander Franco in a one-run game with a runner at first base. Grant Anderson was faced with the same situation. He made his big league debut with the tying run on second base in Detroit. These guys get thrown right in the fire and have done some incredible work. So it was cool to see not just the fact that he's come back, great story, pitched well, but in a monster spot for the Rangers, and he came through with a couple of strikeouts, including Randy Arozarena, who he got to toss his bat. It was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, he ends up striking out 3 All-Stars. He preserves a 1-0 lead. Good for him. What a way to come back and say, you know what, I missed this game. I'm going to go ahead and dominate. Okay, not only do you cover the Rangers, obviously, but you're on MLB Network Radio on a show called Loud Out. So I want to ask you your opinion, not just for the Rangers, CJ, but what are some of the biggest pieces that you see moving at the deadline? First of all, what do the Rangers need? And then what are some other moves that you're looking on?
I think the Rangers probably will be addressing the bullpen. Obviously, Aroldis Chapman is already here. It's been fantastic with him. He's been really good so far. My guess is they'll be looking for at least one more arm and perhaps some starting rotation depth. They don't necessarily have to get somebody at the top of the rotation, but maybe they'd feel a little bit better if there's another depth piece in there. I mentioned it earlier, some of the depth pieces that they've lost so far this year. Around the league, listen, we all want to see the action. We love the action. Seeing the teams that had such high expectations like the New York Mets, the Chicago White Sox, the San Diego Padres, the St. Louis Cardinals. It's crazy to think that all of them legitimately could sell off some pieces and it would make perfect sense. Now, I know the Padres maybe are not feeling that way, and some things have already been said that they wouldn't go in that direction. But can you imagine, to me, it seems like a guy like Blake Snell and Josh Hader should be available if they don't get it turned around in a really big way and really fast. I think that would make for a very exciting deadline. Lots of teams would be in on those guys. The White Sox have a lot of pieces available. The question, I think, with the White Sox becomes, how deep do they really want to go, right? Are they interested in just trading guys maybe like Kendall Graveman, Lucas Giolito, Joe Kelly, and others, or are they willing to listen on Dylan Cease? I know the rumors are out there about Dylan Cease for a couple of different teams. Well, that's a guy with still a couple of more seasons of control. So if you're going to trade him, you might be signifying that, we're actually going to go into maybe a little bit of a break here for more than just 1 year come deadline time. So that's a fascinating one to watch for me. But all the contenders have some piece that they need one way or another. And I think it's going to be a great deadline. I know sometimes we have a tendency to think it's going to be flat. I think it's going to be another fun one.
All right, I could see Joe Kelly, if the Yankees figure it out and can kind of get things going, I can see Joe Kelly going to the Yankees to shore up a little bit of that bullpen. I can see Lucas Giolito in Texas. Does Cody Bellinger get moved, CJ, and where does he go?
That's another really good piece. So it's interesting. I would say that for the Yankees, I think they might be more interested in Cody Bellinger. Not that they wouldn't be interested in Joe Kelly, and I know they've had some struggles lately, but that's still a really strong bullpen in New York. Brian Cashman is in a really tough spot right now as far as what he decides to do. But I think a bat like that, corner outfield for them in New York, could be a spot, no doubt. So he'll end up somewhere. It doesn't make a lot of sense, I think, to hold on to him. Same thing with Marcus Stroman, right? He has that opt-out kind of looming. He's talked about wanting to be there, but if they don't get that situation settled, I think they'd be foolish not to trade him. You can always sign him back if he ends up not exercising that option, which I'm sure he's going to opt out anyway with the season that he is having. Any guy that's in that position, I think you have to trade when you're a non-contender. So Bellinger will end up somewhere. Seattle has had some issues offensively. They're trying to get it going. I think they have the pitching to contend and compete. I know it's been a little bit of a slow year for them. They might be a team that's in on a big bat like that as well.
Yeah, it's good to see Bellinger have some value again. He bet on himself, signed that 1-year deal, and he's definitely a guy that could be moved. CJ Nitkowski, thank you so much. We always appreciate your insight.
Sounds good, Alana. Thanks for having me as always.